Welcome to all the Cancer rising signs of the zodiac, to your horoscope for the month of November through the lens of astrology. Planets in transits, lots of action in our solar system, as above, so below. Pretty active month in November. I'm Cosmic Girl. Thank you for joining me here today. Quick announcement. On the 5th of November 2025, I have officially been creating content on YouTube with the focus on astrology for 2 years. So I'm celebrating a little birthday on the 5th of November, the day of our first lunation of the month of November, being a full moon in Taurus, where the moon is exalted. Very serendipitous, very special for me, and I would like to extend a thank you to my subscribers. You are so valued. Thank you for your likes, your shares, your subscribes, your comments. I love interacting with my audience and the public. So thank you for your support. Just being here, tuning into the wonderful, beautiful language of astrology with me really does fill me up with lots and lots of gratitude. So thank you so much. Means the world. And if you're new to this channel, welcome. This is where we go deep every month for all rising signs and tune into the cosmos and see how the astro weather is shaping up and how we can work with the tides, go with the flow, and understand there may be some bumps in the road, but there certainly is good stuff as well. Balance is key. Okay, plenty of action. Going to be a little bit of a long video. Take it in chunks if you need to. Your time is valuable. I appreciate that. That may be a bit more easier for you to come back and reference to as you journey through the month of November. Instead of ingesting this video all at once, it might be a little bit too much, but if that's your kind of thing, grab a cuppa, grab a bourbon, whatever floats your boat, chill out and enjoy your horoscope for the month of November. Cancer rising signs. On the 4th, we have Mars, our planet of action and will, moving into Sagittarius, into your natal 6th house until December 15. And we also have Mercury co-present in Sagittarius as well. Poor Mercury is in detriment, having a difficult time in your natal 6th house, and it's quite a nuanced transit now that Mars joins in with Mercury from the 4th until Mercury retrogresses back into Scorpio, your natal 5th house, later down the track of the month. Okay, so let's have a peruse, if you will, of what Mars will be bringing to your natal 6th house of service, work, labor, things that we do on the daily grind with our schedules, our routines. Well, Mars lifts us up, gets us going, and you may find yourself going that extra distance to get a job done, do what you have to do on a daily with precision. So you'll be the taskmaster with Mars in your natal 6th house of work. And let's get our daily right. Let's get our plans right. Mars will go, yep, you need to eliminate this distraction. You need to develop more strategies on how to streamline your schedule routine and your daily grind. Mars will help once he gets into Sagittarius on the 4th. For the whole month of November, will be in the 6th house. Mercury co-present as well. Well, Mercury can throw us curveballs such as overextending through too much travel, overspending with our finances to improve our daily. So making purchases that may be a little lofty than we feel comfortable, but we may need that computer, we may need that phone, we may need that car, we may need to pay for that travel trip that we've planned, and it could give us a bit of a squeeze when Mercury is in detriment in Sagittarius as well. On the 5th, we have Mars sextile Pluto, and our first lunation of November being that full moon in Taurus, exalted at 13 degrees, lighting up your natal 11th house. So, whilst we have a beautiful moment, if you will, with a full moon in our 11th house of our friends, our communities, people we like to hang with, because we have a meeting of minds, we've got a celebration moment going on here within your social connections with a full moon in Taurus in your 11th. And in the background, we've got Mars sextiling Pluto, signaling archetypally with Mars and Pluto getting together that it's easy to talk shop about transforming our finances and how we connect with others financially, moving towards a new future. So, goal setting, looking at things from a realistic lens on the 5th on how you are going to advance. And at the same time, with the full moon in Taurus, you get to see if any of your labors are fruiting when it comes to your friends, communities, and your social connections. Quite a wonderful day on the 5th. On the 6th, we have Venus now ingressing into Scorpio, your natal 5th house, until the 30th. So, really quick transit, Venus visiting your natal 5th house, which is about leisure, recreational pursuits, things that fill our cups. And Venus is at top speed in the solar system. So, a really quick visit to your natal 5th house. Now, Venus traditionally, with the dignity scheme, do astrology is in detriment, as is Mercury at the moment. And with Venus in detriment, it's just getting really, really aggressive in pursuing your heart's desire. So you may find yourself a little extra driven to be prone towards accessing what you want a little bit more bulldogish like being, you want your white knuckling your passions here with a lot of conviction and drive when Venus is in Scorpio, your natal 5th house, from the 6th to the 30th. So you want what you want kind of transit. So we don't want to overstretch ourselves with Venus in the 5th house. In pursuing things we love, we need to have some sort of balance. So even though you may feel extra driven to snag or snatch a bargain or maybe even drop out of commitments because you're pursuing too much fun, is something to keep a gauge on with this transit with Venus in the 5th house when she's in detriment in Scorpio. On the 7th, we have Venus square Pluto and retrograde Uranus in Gemini now retrogresses back into Taurus. So the 7th's a pretty important day with the planets moving about and aspecting in a difficult connection with a square. Okay, so we'll first talk about Venus squaring Pluto. So we know Venus wants what she wants, Cancer rising signs want what they want. And when they square off with Pluto, Venus square Pluto is classically running into a discrepancy, a problem with a power dynamic. So we want what we want, but we could be at odds with someone that we have an interest with, whether that be business, intimate, or otherwise, on the 7th when Venus squares off with Pluto. So easy does it on the 7th. If you're trying to push an agenda too much, you may be left with a sour taste in your mouth on the 7th. So wanting what we want is one thing, but how we want it and how we deliver that message is the key to get others to be okay with our requests. Not using kun is well advised on the 7th to basically have our own selfish agenda met. So, easy does it with Venus square Pluto. The same day, retrograde Uranus in Gemini retrogresses back into Taurus, into your social house of Taurus. And that social house of Taurus, where the full moon was on the 5th, only 2 days before, then we can have a think about our social connections and groups and communities and friends that we immerse ourselves in. And with Uranus back here, shaking things up for one last time, then you get an opportunity to cut the fat out, if you will. If you don't want to have certain social connections, this would be a great time to finally release any bonds that we know are too chaotic or sporadic. We want to go, look, we're done with these stories and these connections when Uranus goes back into your 11th house. And it also can really stir up a lot of need within you to seek out people that can support you. Think who's on team Cancer rising with this transit, and you will be able to explore further regarding engaging with people that are more your jam should you need new people, places, and experiences with Uranus back in your natal 11th house of Taurus from the 7th of November. He officially goes direct, Uranus, on February 3rd, 2026 at 27 degrees. And then we'll ingress back into Gemini, your natal 12th house, on April 25, 2026, where he'll stay until 2032. So, practically working with transits and being astrology enthusiasts, which I'm sure you are if you're listening to this video, what Uranus can bring you is an opportunity to say, this is my kind of people, these people aren't. And be okay with detaching and releasing with love, grace, and gratitude for the experience and welcoming in new ones, opening up doors to people that really do intellectually stimulate you, that feel grounded, they feel very, they're cool, calm, and collected, and you just might need that. And if you've got chaos around you regarding your social connections, then you'll easily gauge in on how your body's responding in kind to these connections and release them with love and thanks for the experience and the help along the way in regards to showing you yourself regarding your likes and dislikes when it comes to connecting with people. On the 9th, we have Mercury station retrograde, its third and final retrograde of 2025 in your natal sixth house of work, service, your routine, your daily scheduling. So there's a moment here to really digest what you've been experiencing on the daily when Mercury goes into a retrograde regarding travel, finance, communication, how you interact intellectually regarding your work, your routines, and your schedules. Your sense of service is coming up really clearly for you to consider how you can maneuver through your day with more finesse when Mercury is retrograde from the 9th. All right, let's talk about Jupiter, where Jupiter has been in your natal first house of self since mid 2025. And on the 11th begins its annual retrograde in the natal first house of Cancer, where Jupiter is exalted. He begins his retrograde at 25 degrees and won't go direct until March 10, 2026 at 15 degrees. This is really important for Cancer rising signs because Jupiter in the first house is really potent because he's exalted. So really what Jupiter brings to the natal first house is ambition. He's the ruler of your 9th house of Pisces, the ruler of the 6th house being Sagittarius. So you're focusing in on expansion, whether that's through developing a new relationship with religion, be it any epistemology, can be Buddhism, can be astrology, can be Christianity, you name it. Religion, that name itself, there's many umbrellas of religion that are easy for us to connect with and explore at our own free will, and wanting to connect with different experiences, opening up to foreign concepts, foreign people, foreign places through travel or communication, higher education, wanting to seek out knowledge through practically learning a new skill, through honing in on a special subject or topic that really floats your boat. So Jupiter being the ruler of that ninth house in the first house, and Jupiter being the ruler of the sixth house of Sagittarius, then it is about being focused on your daily routine, work, and your sense of service and purpose. So Jupiter exalted is really going to have you seeking out new beginnings, and it can be because of work on your daily life. It could be about you wanting to expand on your horizons regarding interacting with the world and concepts and philosophies at large. So pretty poignant transit with Jupiter exalted in the first house of you, where you're trying to set the stage, if you will, for new initiatives and beginnings that really inspire you. You feel like you want to be an ambassador and advocate for the self with Jupiter in the first house. It's really quite lovely. So when Jupiter goes into a retrograde phase, which he does annually for 5.5 months per year, when Jupiter's retrograde, you get to sit with the experience you've had since 2025 June, I think it was May, June. And when you get a moment to just go, wow, things are really moving, things are escalating, things are becoming, shit's getting real kind of thing when Jupiter's retrograde, and you really dropping into a process here of embodiment. How is the body responding in kind to all this exacerbation, which Jupiter can feel like? He can make things very active and start to expand and grow. And how are you going with the teething process of growth, which may be coming in quite fast with Jupiter in the first house? Only you will know the answer to that. You're the expert in you, not me. So time to go, wow, oh yeah, things are moving along quite quickly. So when Jupiter's in retrograde, you're just feeling it all out, engaging in on maybe restructuring, especially with Mars in the sixth house of Sagittarius, where Jupiter rules that sign. And with Mars there, you might be really feeling the urge to up the ante, or you may feel like, geez, I've been dropping the ball, it's time to get cracking. And with Saturn and Neptune in your natal ninth house of Pisces, then this can be about culling distraction and trying to develop a muscle and mature outlook on growth and expansion through religion and philosophy and academia, foreigners, foreign places, and traveling. So big stuff to consider and weigh it all up. Just sit there and go far out from the 11th of November. Ooh, my sense of self, my directions, my my own agenda is really coming in hard and fast, and I need to process it. So do that. Take the time that you need to streamline, get more structure, tune into your moral and ethical compass, and literally your own compass, your life direction when Jupiter is in a retrograde phase. Really cool for Cancer rising signs to have Jupiter in the first house. And I had uploaded on my YouTube channel a separate video about Jupiter's transit in Cancer for Cancer rising signs. So simply go to my YouTube page, scroll back, and you'll see the title quite clearly, Jupiter transit in Cancer for Cancer rising signs. I encourage you to go back and listen to that video. You'll get a wealth of astrological information about that transit. But really nice from the 11th of November to go, wow, it's all happening, or wow, I need to get cracking. On the 12th, we have retrograde Mercury conjunct Mars in your sixth house, which we've talked about extensively. So when retrograde Mercury conjuncts Mars, this is really good for Mercury, because poor Mercury, all banged up in detriment in Sagittarius, really does need Mars's assistance. And on the 12th, it could come in. So think helping hands, many hands make light work. communication and community comes together nicely on the 12th to help you move towards a new direction or a new plan or creating more strategies regarding streamlining your day and connecting with work and services. Really nice on the 12th with retrograde Mercury conjunct Mars at 6 degrees in Sagittarius. The 17th is a pretty standout day. We have a grand water trine and we've got Pluto sextile retrograde Mercury. That's really good for you, Cancer rising sign, from your house of transformation and having an interest in other people's resources, connecting nicely with retrograde Mercury. This can be like recovering an old conversation or communication that helps you navigate regarding your plans that you want to initiate when Pluto sextiles retrograde Mercury. So keep your eyes and ears peeled for important connections, serendipitous moments, communication, like a phone call or an email that really does make you think, oh, okay, I've got potential here to move with this information that can help me regarding my work life, what I'm doing on the daily with my routine and schedule. And it can be coming from some help from other people that help you advance and move forward a little bit quicker than you have been. So that's really nice with Pluto sextiling retrograde Mercury on the 17th. And with the grand water trine swimming in the background, I like this for dropping into your intuition, not being in too much of a rush to make a decision, just sitting with the information and processing it quite intently with a grand water trine. So I think the 17th is a standout date for you. So keep your eyes and ears peeled for something beneficial to come across your radar for you to consider on the 17th. On the 18th, retrograde Mercury ingresses back into Scorpio, into your natal fifth house where the sun is and Venus. Mercury will officially station direct towards the end of November. Okay, so with retrograde Mercury going back into your natal fifth house, what's going on here is Mercury is asking you to focus in on the costs of travel, take more time to process information and clearly communicate your personal needs. And Mercury brings you a moment, if you will, to sit with your agenda when it comes to filling your own cups up, whether that's through intimate connections, recreational or leisure pursuits. Mercury says, okay, if you want what you want, we need to factor in a travel itinerary. We need to factor into can we afford what we want and be okay with having uncomfortable conversations between you and intimate connections in your life if that's applicable to you. This is about clearly communicating what you need from someone, not being wishy-washy with Mercury retrograding back in the natal fifth house of Scorpio before he goes direct at the end of the month. On the 21st, what another active day with the planets in transits and aspects. The first thing is we have our second lunation of November, and it's a new moon where the moon is in fall in Scorpio at 28 degrees. But magically on the same day of this new moon, where the moon traditionally is in fall in Scorpio, meaning the moon is like, oh, it's an uncomfortable new beginning, but we've got to do what we've got to do. It's like a necessary evil, bittersweet beginning that we know has to happen. But with retrograde Mercury Cazimi, which means Mercury is in the heart of the sun, there's an intelligence to move forward and know that we need to go in a new direction. And in your natal fifth house of your pleasure pursuits, leisure, recreation, intimate connections, then the astrological archetypal meaning of these connections and the Cazimi for you as a Cancer rising sign at your own free will knowing that the moon is your chart ruler, if you're a Cancer rising sign, you just be okay with knowing, look, everything's not perfect at the moment, but at the very least, you're moving in a direction that feels more mature and grounded regarding your own heart's desire. So, leveling up and upping the ante regarding going into uncomfortable spaces, environments, or connections gives us a moment to maybe consider we're developing a muscle here and knowing everything's not perfect. Everything's a little bit in the dark, which is what a new moon is. But there's an intuition that something's shifting within you regarding intimate connections, your leisure and recreational pursuits. There's something shifting here. And with the Kazemi, it's an intelligent shift. So it's really blooming, you're blooming into a more focused direction that may be a little bit uncomfortable when it comes to getting your needs met with the new moon in full in Scorpio at 28 degrees. After that new moon, the sun then opposes retrograde Uranus and trines retrograde Neptune. So this is like resuscitating belief or maybe falling into a trap with retrograde Mercury in not being completely content. So it's like a, a sour burst of lemon juice in your mouth with sun opposed retrograde Uranus in Taurus and trining retrograde Neptune. It may all feel like things are really coming home to roost, but we can know that, look, at the very least, we're moving in a new direction, but it also means it's going to take a lot of steam from you to keep focused on what you want and what you believe in philosophically. Then the sun ingresses into Sagittarius, joining Mars in your natal sixth house, and the sun will be there for 4 weeks till December 21st before we get to the solstice. So, with the sun in the sixth with Mars, well, the focus is getting a little bit more detailed now regarding your daily life, schedules and routines, your work and service. So we are getting responsible, taking ownership, being more autonomous, and leadership might be on your radar when the sun gets in the natal sixth house. And that means you taking a more prominent role in controlling the narrative when it comes to how you move through the world on the daily. Really nice with the sun in the sixth house with Mars from the 21st of November to December 21st. On the 25th, Venus in Scorpio conjuncts retrograde Mercury at 22 degrees. Again, I think this signifies going back over an old issue, event, or conversation that needs to be had, sorted out. So I like to think of this day as your phone's running hot, you're mentally stimulated, you're all up in your heart's desire. And on the 25th, things could be coming in pretty loud for you, and that gives you information intuitively or literal information or communication that helps you identify your values when it comes to your heart's desires. The 25th is a very personal day with Venus conjuncting retrograde Mercury in your fifth house at 22 degrees. The next day on the 25th, we wonder why we were so all up in it, because we have our second grand water trine of the month of November. And it's Venus setting off the trine to retrograde Jupiter in your natal first house of Cancer, and she's trining retrograde Saturn in Pisces. And then the same day on the 26th, Saturn stations direct in Pisces, your natal ninth house. fascinating grand water trine. So this grand water trine is again about dropping into your intuition, your feelings, your emotions, going there. Think we're going there. Grand water trine. So you're really dropping into what is my heart's desires and really feeling out if you're on the right trajectory on the 26th. The same day when Saturn stations direct in Pisces, this can be the moment, if you will, with Saturn in Pisces in your ninth house of, look, it's time to get something going here that needs focus through travel, foreigners, foreign places, higher education, think academia like universities or developing a niche skill, a philosophy or a religious path that you morally and ethically steer towards that fills your heart and soul. Saturn direct now, you'll have a focus, a determination to get to task on anchoring into committing to something that is very embodied, whether that's through your mind, your physicality, your speech, or the world at large. Really significant day on the 26th. On the 27th, Venus opposes retrograde Uranus and Mercury stations direct at 20 degrees. I wrote on the last slide Mercury going direct on the 29th. That's wrong. It's the 27th, so apologies. Ignore that. Mercury goes direct on the 27th at 20 degrees. Okay, well, when Venus opposes retrograde Uranus, this can be rejecting a commitment to a friend, a group, something to do with your social life is getting a little bit of a no, thank you. I'm not going there. I'm not accepting the invitation. I don't want to participate. So I think you might be experiencing a few no's or a bit of pushback on the 27th with Venus opposing retrograde Uranus. This can be just like a distaste for conforming or bending the knee to please others kind of day in a social capacity. And with Mercury going direct at 20 degrees, this is really nice now that Mercury's direct for all of us. But with Mercury direct in your fifth house, this is, I know where I'm going regarding my travel itinerary, my finances, and I'm now communicating very, very well. I am dropping into my soul self and I know what I want. So there'll be no deal dallying around regarding haziness or fogginess when it comes to people not knowing what Cancer rising signs of gender is, because you'll be clearly speaking and communicating about what your standards are and what your values are that are significant to you. Yeah, really important day again on the 27th. On the 30th, Venus trines retrograde Neptune. Yeah, this is really good for recovering inspiration that may have been lost in the juice or lost in the ethers. So I think you might be getting some important information on the 30th when Venus trines retrograde Neptune. Then Venus will move forward and ingress into Sagittarius, into your sixth house till December 24. So now you have a little stellium in your sixth house in Sagittarius with Mars and the Sun and Venus. Jupiter is the ruler of Sagittarius in your first house. So I think you're really taking some strides here and establishing, whoa, where am I going? What am I doing? There'll be a lot of seeking adventure and think connection, and you want to know things. You want to develop knowledge. You've got a thirst for adventure and information with Venus in the sixth, with Mars and the Sun from the 30th till December 24th. Venus in Sagittarius seeks out unity, and she's passionately drawn towards people, places, and things that help her fill up, if you will, with inspiration. And that means a lot of activity with communication, social events, parties, all connected to the sixth house. So it's celebration time, if you will, for Venus when she's in Sagittarius, where she just wants to celebrate life, knock shoulders with people that are avant garde, sassy, that have a longer range scope of optimism and drive. So, connected to your work, then you might find yourself wanting to throw it all in the ring and connect with big dogs in your industry, movers and shakers that can get you fired up and work with people that are on the same page with you. So, fascinating for Cancer rising signs with Venus from the 30th of November moving into December in your natal sixth house. Very fortuitous transit. Practically working with the transits and you think, oh, when's the time to strike? uh, put my resume out or pitch or market something, it would be now from the 30th to December 24th when Venus is in your house of work and service, your daily life. Really quite lovely. Thank you for tuning in with your Cosmic Girl to your astrology for November Cancer rising signs. I trust you have a wonderful month. If you have any questions or inquiries about my services regarding astrology, I can be contacted at the email being cosmicgirl101 at protonmail.com. Till next time, Cancer rising signs, stay cosmic.